last year. You'll recall that we reviewed pharmacology courses in the KEDS data system, and we presented those findings to the TEA. And this was after we investigated the specific program that each course was assigned to by each institution based on what they've entered in KEDS. As we worked through that, we realized that the additional request to look at practicum courses was going to take us a little bit longer because of the overlap in usage by institutions with internship and clinical courses. So we are now at round two. We have reviewed the courses and buckets as listed on your issue paper on page 6. This includes, just as I mentioned, practicum, internship, and clinical courses, as well as several other course topics and buckets that we identified that were not occupationally specific, they were actually topically specific. And the end goal is to have all of our courses assigned to program-specific buckets based on the way that they're used. So starting on page 8 in the packet, you have a long list of courses. These are the courses that have been reviewed, and we've included the current bucket assignment and the recommended bucket for each one. So the yellow highlighted courses signify a course that we are recommending should move to another tiered program bucket. And I want to emphasize that no courses are being recommended to move from tiered status to non-tiered status at this time. Those that are in the non-tiered status currently are often recommended to remain there because of the topic of the program to which they are associated. So the blue highlights, there are only 2 courses in your packet that are highlighted in blue. These signify courses that we're recommending should move from non-tiered status actually to a tiered bucket. After investigation, we have determined that the Fort Hays Tech North Central course of IT project management belongs in information technology, similar to the other IT project management courses. And then at Kansas City, Kansas Community College, we have project design and documentation practicum currently assigned in the non-tiered bucket, and that should, the recommendation is for that to move to industrial maintenance. And then you have green highlighted courses in each of these groups as you scroll through there. Green means the course is in the appropriate program-specific bucket right now based upon use in the program by the institution, so it should stay where it is. So once all courses are reviewed, and we will continue to undertake that, and our plan is to finish all course reviews this year. There are over 15,000 courses in the system, so this is going to take us a moment, but we hope to come back next year with all courses having been reviewed. But once all the courses are reviewed within each of these buckets, the courses then will receive the rate of the program that they're part of. So courses in the Office Tech bucket will receive the Office Tech rate. In 2023, that was $279 per credit hour. The computer support repair courses in that bucket would receive $313 per credit hour because of the program that is part of. So again, ultimately, we want to see all of the courses assigned to the program-specific bucket that they are part of based on how institutions have assigned their courses to programs in the KEDS data system. And I know that that's a lot to take in, so I would stand for any questions or comments.
So are there any questions for Charmin that are just sort of basically around the concept here? I'd prefer to have a motion and put this thing in play before we debate the substance of it, but any questions for that explanation of what this would do? So my sense would be that given the implications of this and its magnitude, it probably is not suited to the consent agenda at the TEA. It's probably due for some deliberation and discussion there, in my opinion. So I would entertain a motion to approve this to move it on to the next TEA action agenda or whatever it's called technically. Is there a motion to
Discussion.
do that?
Yes, sir.
Discussion agenda.
This Ray, so move.
Okay, is there a second of Ray's motion?
Dave, I'll second.
Okay, so now let's dive in here if we wish and share your thoughts, committee members, about what is being done here and any concerns you may have.
Sharman, this is Ray. Has this been distributed to the institutions?
Yes, it was. So when we send out the public notice prior to the start of the meeting, that includes the presidents as well as the vice presidents for the technical and community colleges. I did hear from a community college representative with a few questions about whether I could speculate on how the rates would change. I can't speculate on that right now until we actually have reviewed all of the courses in all of the buckets. Pardon me. But they did share that they were in support of conducting this review to ensure that all courses do receive the appropriate program calculated rate.
So there was one single individual or institution that had a question, basically?
It was the representative from the community colleges. It was Heather Morgan with
Oh, okay.
additional questions. But as she asked those again, she did share that that the community colleges are in favor of this review. I know that President Carter is on the line. I did see him, so he certainly may have additional comments.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. Yes, ma'am. So going through and looking at it, it's something we've talked about as a sector because we acknowledge that some of these things are going to be misaligned within the buckets. So we know this is a process to where there's going to be, I mean, let's just be very blunt, there's going to be some proverbial winners, there's going to be some proverbial losers as we go through and calculate these tiered rates. The concern is just not knowing how all this is going to affect, but we are all in support of going through and getting it right and making sure that they are being accurately reimbursed. So that's been kind of the general sentiment going through. Executive Director Morgan and I have had that conversation, but it's also been had with the larger presidential committee as far as the individual programs and where they currently sit. Director Chambers, you have to correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this was sent out on Monday, so there hasn't been an exorbitant amount of time to go through and review that. But yes, sir, there has been feedback on that.
So, Seth, it's my understanding that you do concur and support the concept of this.
Yes, sir, we do, because it's something that we know we have things that are misaligned. So going through and getting those correct, that way everybody is fairly reimbursed. Because I do believe that some of the general concerns we received so far is that if Colby has this program and then X institution has that, because Colby may have done something incorrectly, we may be getting reimbursed at a different rate than this institution. So going through and getting everything aligned properly, it makes sense. So knowing there is going to be some drawbacks to this, I think we fully acknowledge that, but also believe it's for the greater good of getting everything accurate.
Okay, well, I think it's important to be on the record as far as your, representing the community colleges, supporting and this process. I think that's important. Like I say, I mean, none of us have a crystal ball, so we can't predict and with certainty what outcomes we're going to end up with. But if we do feel that at least the process seems to be legitimate and you can support that, I think that's an important step forward. I'm curious, Sharma, did we hear anything from the tech colleges?
I have not yet. I'll be frank, I have not checked my email yet this morning. But I do believe that President Jeanette is on the line as well.
And we agree with the community colleges, you know, with your help from the TEA and others, we did the recentering a few years ago to keep things fair. This is the next step to ensure that process. So like Seth said, some people are gonna have some changes, negative or positive, but this is the best way to make sure it's accurate and fair to everybody.
Good. Thank you, Jim. Anybody else from tech colleges on here? Well, I'm with Ray. This is more a question of sounding out the concept and the overall process. Maybe not necessarily getting into the weeds of that big old chart here, although we could, but this is really about consensus around moving in this direction, I think. So it sounds like we've got it.
And Chair Sneeden, we appreciate the process. We appreciate being involved in it. So we just want to extend our gratitude. Obviously, we're a little bit concerned about the outcome because we don't know. I don't think anybody fully knows how this could potentially affect funding long term. But I think we can all agree it is a general step in the right direction. And President Jeanette said it was fine if Manhattan Area Tech lost money and it was given to Colby. So I think we're all in agreement and we're ready to stamp that and move on. But
I'm trying to get away from needing any public funds. We just take the employers paying for it, you know, free enterprise system.
There you go. Well, is there any further discussion of this motion, which again is simply to approve this for discussion by the TEA? Hearing none. Is anyone opposed to that motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much. That might have seemed simple and quick, but I think that's actually a pretty darn important piece of work you just did. So thank you for that. And I believe that's the end of our agenda this morning. We just have a quick reminder that our next meeting is Thursday, November 7th. And I guess I can't tell from looking at this whether that'll be in person or are all the committee members Zoom, committee meetings Zooms?
Correct. All committee
Okay.
meetings are Zoom.
Good. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay. So we'll see you at the next TEA meeting, but this committee will convene on November 7th, Thursday morning. Is there any other discussion? Well, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Very good.
thank you all.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Appreciate your time this morning. We'll see you at the next TEA meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.